Okay, so I'll kind of open it up for questions.
Chief, you're pretty new to, well, my understanding. Give a little bit about your background.
Okay, first off, I want to introduce Officer Michael Avila. Mike's been here. How long you been here, Mike?
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half. So introduce him. We'll try and every time from here on start bringing officers with us to the Coffee with the Cop to introduce each officer in the department. So to your question, so I've spent, I actually started here in 1995. So I've spent off and on the last 25 and a half years here in the San Luis Valley. I actually started here in Monte Vista as a trooper in June 4th of 1995. Came back 25 years later as chief of police. So, but I've spent pretty much my entire law enforcement career here in the San Luis Valley. Moved around a few places, Vail, things like that, as I promoted with State Patrol. But other than that, yeah, I've been lucky enough to spend most of it right here in the San Luis Valley.
Actually, this might be for Officer Avila, a little bit more, a lot of anti-police vibes going on out there in the world today. Have you seen any effects here from the streets of Monte Vista? Is everybody supportive, not supportive?
Mostly here in the valley, they're real supportive. A lot of these smaller communities are a little bit closer than you get up in the big cities, so we actually have a lot of support for law enforcement down here in the valley.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think we've been really lucky actually here. There's always I think that it's in any profession you have people that are anti everything. I mean that just happens. But we've been very fortunate to have a lot of support. But a lot of that comes back to us. It comes back to us being open and available to the community, as well as doing things right. I mean, it only takes one bad incident, as you can see from across the country. One bad incident can completely change the image of your department, and so it's incumbent on us to make sure that we're doing things right from the very get-go, and as well as admitting our mistakes. We're not perfect. We are far from perfect, and we're going to make mistakes, but owning those and through good training, good policies, and following the law. But again, at the end of the day, it's really incumbent on us to gain that trust and to earn that trust and to keep that trust. So let's kind of leave it at that.
Last question, I'll let somebody else ask one. Plans for the community. You're coming in the door. Hopefully you have some type of short-term, long-term. Yeah,
so I think one of the things that when I did an interview with the newspapers, I was like, I don't necessarily have an agenda, nor should I have an agenda. This isn't about me, about what I want to accomplish. It's not about me putting a stamp on a resume or something like that. This is about what's good for the community and what the community wants. This isn't about anything about me. So this is more about what the community wants, and things like Coffee with the Cop, and get people to come out to these and have these discussions like this. But again, it's about what the community wants and what the community expects. It's not about what we want or what we expect, because we do work for the citizens, and plain and simple. I had done a radio interview here a few weeks ago, and we talked about that, and it's all about what's good for the community, not what's good for us, and that's where we're going to continue to go and be receptive to the community, because that is who we work for.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I know you got questions.
Chief Dingfelder, you have, since you've been here, you've been interviewed by many different entities, the radio station, the newspaper, at city council meetings, and we've learned a lot of positive things about you, and I appreciate that. What do you think, when you first were sworn in, what is the most positive thing you see about the people of Monte Vista?
So again, going back for the 25 years that I've been around here, is the sense of pride and the sense of community. I grew up on a ranch in the middle of nowhere in Montana, and those rural values and lifestyles, I've talked about those before. you get that as soon as you come into Monte Vista. You get that as soon as you come into the San Luis Valley. Those rural, we have our disagreements, as a community, and community members have their disagreement. You'll have neighbor disputes, but I really think at the end of the day, it's about that sense of community. I always use especially sports. My daughter played sports for Centauri, and we did not like a lot of the other teams. We didn't like Alamosa, we didn't like Monte Vista and stuff like that. But as soon as you got outside of the valley in a lot of these sports, whether it be at state or whatever, we all kind of band together and supported each other as soon as we got outside. So that's what I like about these. We can have our rivalries inside internally while we're here, but once we get away from here, then we tend to take care of each other. And that's Monte Vista's like that. I know they might have their rivalry with Alamosa, but at the end of the day, we're all in this together, and it's just a big sense of community. And you get that anywhere in these rural areas and stuff. So it's always been interesting that the sports rivalries over the years, and that's just it just kind of explains the I guess the culture and the expectations that we can have our disagreements, but at the end of the day, we take care of each other.
Officer Avila, we all know that Chief Rosecrans was a fantastic chief, and we really appreciate all the work he did. Now Chief Dingfelder has taken over, and I believe is carrying on with the things that he started. What do you see as the most positive change that that Chief Dingfelder is putting into place since he's been here? Or is he still gathering information?
Still trying to figure out how to spell chief.
I didn't really work a lot with Chief Rosecrans. One of the things I noticed when Chief Dingfelder started was he goes out on calls with us. He likes to get out there and see what we do, and it's just nice to have him out there and kind of have him want to learn from us.
So he's a really great hands-on, boots-on-the-ground chief.
He is.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think I have yet to not be in uniform, and I had said I will be a working chief, and I am. Yesterday was a great example. We went from call to call to call yesterday, and we were kind of shorthanded, so rightfully so. I went to almost every single call yesterday with me and Officer Golden, and just because we were shorthanded and Sergeant Martinez. So, and that's the way it should be. Just because you have a title doesn't mean you're not still able to get your hands dirty. You should be out there getting your hands dirty right in the mix. Plus, I need to know exactly what they're doing and what they're dealing with, and I guess feel their pain, and as well as it's there's times we've with the whole pandemic and that it's very uncomfortable going and wearing that mask all day long, and dealing with stressful things and stuff like that. It's very uncomfortable, but I need to experience that, and I have. So I need to. The only way to do that is to be on the ground with them out there doing that.
I'm Bob Richards. Glad to have you with me. I am live from Coffee with a Cop. And that takes place at Rain Brews. That's at the corner of Adams and Highway 160. And I'm joined by the newly minted police chief for Monte Vista, George Dingfelder. How are you, Chief?
I am well, Bob. Thank you.
Glad to have you with us. And you've brought an officer with you, Officer Avila. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did.
Thank you for being here, sir. It's a little intimidating, I have to say, when you're facing me and that camera that you have on your chest is pointed right at me. I'm not used to cameras or microphones. I'm really intimidated by that.
You don't gotta worry.
How long have you guys had those cameras?
So this current version of them, they just went to them like mid-April. It's the newest, latest, greatest version. It's a company called Axon. Prior to that, though, Monte Vista's wore body cams for quite a few years. We just went to a new version of cameras that are a lot easier to use, and a lot clearer and stuff like that.
So
we've done them for years.
If you know, can you give me some of the capabilities of the camera?
Some of the kind of cool things with this current camera is it attaches. It's connected to your phone. So if you don't have your camera, you can take still pictures and stuff like that off your phone, and it connects like that. the audio and video on them is absolutely phenomenal.
That's
It's
great.
very clear. They're even if you're getting knocked around or chasing somebody or something like that, they're very clear. They're great cameras.
And are they always on, or do they have to be turned on?
No, you have to physically turn it on, and then the same as shut it off. Now there's a system where if we get in car cameras, where as soon as you hit the lights on your car, it'll activate the body camera as well. So,
Interesting.
Yeah,
And every officer has one?
every officer has one.
That's great. I noticed also, speaking of new technology, that at the corner over here, there's cameras up now. I think those were put up prior to you getting here. Are those fully operational now, and what are your capabilities with those?
So yeah, the ones down at basically at 160 and 285.
Right, exactly.
Right. Yeah. So those are traffic cams. They were up prior to me coming here. We do have access to them, so we can just kind of monitor traffic and what's going on like that. You know, like whether it be a parade or something like that. Obviously not this year because we're not going to have Stampede, unfortunately.
Right.
But yeah, we can monitor traffic and we have access to go back and review video. You know, if there was a crash or something like that. Or,
Interesting.
Yeah. So that really clear again. Really. The technology with cameras is amazing compared to where I started 25 years ago.
And Officer Avila, you know, that's sort of in your, I guess, breast pocket, for lack of a better term, on your vest. Any issues with that?
No, sometimes, you forget it's there. You
Yeah.
just kind of get used to it.
Well, don't forget it's there if you got to turn it on. I appreciate you both being here. If you're just tuning in, we're live from Coffee with a Cop. It's at Rain Brews, and how long will you guys be here today?
Probably for like another 20 minutes.
All right, so we'll be here till 9 o'clock. I will be live from here until 9 o'clock, and if you're in the area and you want to stop by, please do. We would love to have you. So, Chief, it was interesting to me that you came up and you were on the radio program a couple of weeks ago and brought a great list of classic rock, which I was impressed by. But one of the other things I was impressed by, I won't give the business out, but there was a call in the neighborhood not long ago.
Right.
It was basically a disturbance, and you responded to that. And I don't know why, but I was a little surprised by that. Tell us what your sort of running rules are for yourself when it comes to stuff like that.
Right. So that's interesting you say that. It was last Thursday, and it was Officer Avila was actually the first one on scene.
Yeah.
It was just a disturbance where a suspect, I guess, was basically harassing and grabbed a business owner, and the suspect got pepper sprayed. So
Good.
and you know,
Rightfully
that's right,
so.
they have a right to defend themselves,
Sure.
right? But anyway, so just going to stuff as far as that is, I said from the very beginning that I'd be a working chief, but more than that, I still love the job. I was retired for 4 whole days, so I went from my previous department, retired 4 days, and came right here. I still love law enforcement. It has its challenges, and some of that's self-induced by the profession itself. But for the most part, it's been a great between the military and my previous department. Have over 30 years, and I hope to do like another 5 years here. I love interacting with the people and just being involved in stuff like that, and trying to make a difference and stuff. So that's why you'll see me on calls, as well as I need to know what's going on with the officers, what they're experiencing, and
Sure.
and that. So you can't really make decisions if you don't know what's really going on.
Has it been a month yet that you've been on the job?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. All right. Look
weeks,
at you
yeah.
go. And
6 weeks.
And in those 6 weeks, how many of those sorts of calls that I just called attention to do you think you've answered? You personally, I mean.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. I try to go on as many as I can when I'm available.
Yeah.
For example, just yesterday I was on on 5 different calls.
Wow.
Yesterday, just going because we were shorthanded, and just going on whether it be a medical assist or a fight or a traffic crash or whatever. So I try to go to as many calls as I can. And you see that in most of these smaller towns. A lot of the chiefs are actively involved and in their departments. I know some of the other departments you hear their chiefs on the radio a lot too.
Yeah. So as an officer in the field, knowing the boss potentially is on his way, not that would change in any way how you respond to a call, but is there some level of comfort knowing he's on the way and you can appeal to him if you have any questions or anything like that as you handle these things?
Yeah, there is. We all respond the same way.
Yeah.
But knowing that he could be on his way, it is nice knowing that someone with that experience is coming, and if we have any questions, we could ask him, or
Sure.
if he's just someone to go to, like, hey, I got this question. This is what we do, and he's there.
Yeah. Well, Chief, this is your first Coffee with a Cop, first of many, we all hope, and I think that folks in the Valley here are probably interested to hear, in terms of your community outreach, Coffee with a Cop is one of the things that you're doing, but I happen to know that's not all you're doing, and you've reached out to me to promote some of your other things. Will you tell folks what some of your community outreach things are going to be moving forward?
Yeah, I think the next one that we have coming up is Neighborhood Watch, which is on July 20th at the Chamber of Commerce here in Monte Vista at 6 p.m. And then one of our other things is we've really started doing a lot of foot patrols down in the business district, and just walking around and stuff, as well as some of the other areas and stuff like that. We just want to be visible. Let's and interact with the community and be there to answer their questions and to participate in events. A couple of weeks ago, there was a Unity Walk that was organized on a Sunday, and we went and participated in that. But just being supportive of the community and doing that. So pretty much any event, you'll see us at that.
Got it. Well, is there anything either of the two of you need the folks listening to know about any sort of other upcoming events or things that you maybe have seen out there firsthand that you want to make sure everybody's aware of from a safety perspective?
Traffic is definitely picking up. And it has the last couple of months. Traffic has gotten a lot heavier and stuff. So always just be aware of that. Wear your seatbelt. In the city, we're going to kind of do some focus on code enforcement. Weeds and the aesthetics of the community, and making sure we clean up some of these blighted areas and stuff like that. So, but no, really, we're very open to suggestions, and we will be open to suggestions and hearing what the community has to say, and taking their input on everything that we do.
Well, I appreciate your time, both of you, for being here, and I know the folks in attendance also appreciate you being here and answering their questions. Before we came live on the air, there was a little question and answer period from the folks, and I know that they appreciated you being here and answering their questions. So in terms of the next Coffee with a Cop, what does that look like?
So it'll be the second Wednesday of every month going forward.
Second Wednesday of every month. Okay,
Wednesday
good.
Every month going forward at 8 a.m. Here at Rain Brews.
And it'll be from 8 to 9?
Yeah, 8 to 9. Like I said, we'll try and bring a different officer each week or each time, and so the community gets to know all our officers as well.
Perfect. Well, again, thanks for your time. We really appreciate it, and we will be here the second Wednesday of every month, and we'll make sure that we bring it to the audience. And I know that there's going to be podcasts available of this. A video. Okay, great. And we'll give you that information as to where you can find that as well, so that you can see their shining faces in addition to hearing their voices.